If there are 16 people to choose from, what is the ratio of the number of possible 7 persons committee to the number of possible 8 persons committee? Let's go over that again. If there are 16 people to choose from, what is the ratio? So we want to find the ratio of the number of possible 7 persons committees to the number of possible 8 persons committee. Now this is a combination problem. Now the thing is, you're told to find the ratio of two things. So the first is you want to find the ratio. So you want to find the ratio of the first one is the number of possible 7 persons committee, and then the number of possible 8 persons committee. So to find the ratio, what we are going to do is we are going to first find the number of possible 7 persons committee. We'll have an answer which we'll call 1. Then we'll find the number of 8 persons committee, which we'll call 2. Then the question demands we find the ratio of the two answers we obtain. That is 1:2. So that's going to give us our answer. Now, the question now is, what is the number of ways of selecting 7 people from 16 people? So the question I'm asking now is, what is the number of ways? The number of ways of, it says number of ways of possible 7 persons committee. So number of ways of selecting 7 people or 7 persons, anyhow you want to call it, 7 people from 16 people. 16 people. So let's just call this 7 and then we'll call this 16. The number of ways of selecting 7 people from 16 people. You could also say the number of ways of combining 7 people from 16 people. So what you need to do there is, you recall you have to use combination. So mathematically, if you want to represent this statement here mathematically, you would say the number of ways of combining 7 from 16 is just going to be 16 combination 7. So this is what it means mathematically. So if you want to transcribe this statement to a mathematical statement, it says the number of ways of selecting or combining 7 people from 16 people is 16 combined 7. So 7, you combine 7 from 16. So that's how to read the whole thing. So if you have not forgotten, if you're told to find n combination r, so that's just going to give you n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, then times r factorial. So if you have not forgotten the formula, so we'll use this general formula to find this. So this is just going to give us 16 factorial divided by now 16 minus 7 factorial. 16 minus 7 factorial. So maybe I should just use this, then times 7 factorial. So let's just use this r to see the way the whole thing goes. This is nr. So 16 combination 7 is just the 16 factorial divided by the subtraction, then the product of the number itself. So this is just going to give you 16 factorial divided by, now 16 minus 7 is going to give you 9 factorial and then 7 factorial. So this is what we have for the first statement. So that's for the first statement. Let's now go to the next statement. It says, so this is the number of possible 7 persons committee that we've obtained here. So the next one, it says find the number of possible 8 persons committee. So for statements 2, so we want to find the number of ways of selecting. So it says selecting 8 person now. So the number of ways of selecting 8 people from 16 people. So this is 8 and then this is 16. So like we did before, that you could also think of selecting as another name for combining. All these things, they're mathematical terms. They use them just to suit the description they are doing, because these are the things that you have to get used to. This is a mathematical language. So selecting, combining. So it says number of ways of combining 8 people from 16 people. So that's just going to be 16 combination what's the name, 8 combination 8. And like we have here above, so we said the formula is 16 factorial divided by, so the subtraction, which is 16 minus 8 factorial, then times the number itself, that is 8 factorial, and then this is just going to give you 16 factorial divided by, now 16 minus 8 is going to give you 8 factorial times 8 factorial. So this is what we have. We have this for part 2. Now, but the question says find the ratio of the answer you obtained in 1 to the answer you obtained in 2. That's what the question says. It says ratio. So the ratio of 1 to 2, that is what we obtained in 1. So ratio of 1 to 2 is just going to be, this is, you know, whenever I hear the word ratio, it means 1 divided by 2. So that's just going to be, so what we obtained in 1 is 16. So let's push this up. This is 16 factorial divided by, you have 9 factorial times 7 factorial ratio. So we obtained in 2 is 16 factorial divided by 8 factorial 8 factorial. So this is the same thing as 16 factorial divided by 9 factorial times 7 factorial. So we said whenever you see the word ratio, it is the same thing as division. So this is divided by 16 factorial divided by 8 factorial 8 factorial. Now this is the same thing as 16 factorial divided by 9 factorial 7 factorial, then times, so whenever you change this to multiplication, you reciprocate what you have here. So you reciprocate this. So what's going to have is, so at the top you're going to have 8 factorial times 8 factorial divided by 16 factorial. So from here you could see that this is 16 factorial, this is 16 factorial, so this crosses out. So what you're left with is just going to be 8 factorial times 8 factorial divided by, now 9 factorial times 7 factorial. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that is kind of very interesting. It might look a little tricky, but just watch what I'm doing. So what you have here is 8 factorial. So 8 factorial is the same thing as 8 times. So let me just show you something. Maybe if you have, before I do something here, let me show you something here. If you have 4, if you're told to find 4 factorial, so we know 4 factorial is the same thing as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That is 4 factorial. So I can as well write this as 4 times, you know, this is 3 times 2 times 1, which is the same thing as 3 factorial. So instead of writing 4 factorial by listing all the elements, I could just write the first one and then reduce it to the next one. So in general, if you have n factorial, this is just going to be the first one, which is n, that will be n times, then the next one is going to be n minus 1 factorial. So what I have here for the first term here is 8 factorial. So because I saw, the reason why I'm going to do this reduction is because I can see 7 factorial here. So that's why I want to use this technique here to make things very easy for me. So what you have here is 8 factorial. So instead of 8 factorial, I'm going to write 8 times 7 factorial, then times, so I'm going to leave this the way it is. This is 8 factorial. Now divided by, now 9 factorial is, so I'm going to change, let me change the color of this 8 factorial. I'm going to write 8 factorial. So I've changed the color there. Now for the 9 factorial, sorry for that, for the 9 factorial, what you have here is 9 times, so using the same formula we have here, so this is just going to be 9 times 8 factorial, then the 7 we have here is still going to be the 7 here, so you have 7 factorial. This is what you have, right? So from looking at what we have here, this 7 factorial can cross 7 factorial, 8 factorial crosses 8 factorial, and then the answer you're going to have is just going to be 8 divided by 9. And in other words, 8 divided by 9 is the same thing as 8 ratio 8:9. So this is the ratio of the two things that we have, 8:9. So we'll check for answer. Yes, it's here. So the answer is 8:9. So that completes the problem. So if you have any question, feel free to drop your questions in the comment box below. And then don't forget to like the videos. If you like the videos you're seeing, just click the like button that you have below on the right hand side. Thanks for watching.